Okay, well, thank you again for taking the time to
Oh,
meet
absolutely.
with me.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to get started asking about what inspired you to pursue music as a career, what really interested you in just being like a musician overall.
Yeah, music has been a lifelong pursuit for me. I started playing instruments in the 4th grade. So my very first instrument was cornet. And I always tell the funny story that my dad worked for Sears Roebuck at the time. And for those that don't know, Sears and Roebuck back in that time was like the Amazon of its day. Everybody had a Sears catalog. But anyway, the very first instrument was a cornet. Their private brand was called Silvertone, and it was Silvertone cornet was my very first instrument. So I grew up in the church, singing in the church, and started playing cornet in 4th grade. So it's been a lifelong pursuit. Yeah.
And what was the experience like also in getting Honey made together and the group? And
There's quite a backstory. This group of musicians has been together since 2013. We were originally a band called Mama Kay and the Shades, founded by Kelsey Garcia, a female lead singer, Mama Kay, and a saxophonist whose name was David McKnight. And David was the creative genius behind the band, and he basically got all the musicians together, and he's the reason we ever were a band, really. And we had a pretty good run from 2013 all the way to like 2017 as Mama Kay and the Shades. His original vision was always a large band with a full horn section. Predominantly, at that time, it was more of a funk and soul sound. And now we've kind of moved closer to more R&B soul. But yeah, I think it's just a group of musicians that always really solid musicians that wanted to play, wanted to make music. Is that answer your question?
Yeah. And speaking of the genres that you play together, like you touched on, like the transitioning, and what was the experience like and the process like of deciding which genres you like and wanted to play together as well?
Well, one of our predominant writers is Willie Barnes. He's also one of our lead singers. And we had a previous bass player named Lee Braverman. But I think just over time, we wanted to evolve the music. And there's funk is a great sound, but I think R&B gives us a broader palette to use when we're writing music. And we're not, and I would say this, we're not a single genre band. We have elements of, we still have some funk in our sound, and more R&B, definitely soul, but now you'll find some hip hop influence. And even one of our tracks, Ashy Pockets My Mode, really has kind of a metal rock sound to it. So our sound has evolved over time, and I think that's just because of the musicians we are and what we like to play.
And speaking of writing, what has that experience been like of writing together and really coming up with the ideas and inspirations for your songs as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
Yeah, the inspiration for like your songs, like you mentioned writing. What's that collaboration process like?
Oh, the collaboration process. Typically, a single songwriter or a small group, like no more than 3, will get together to generate some song ideas. As they get a song further along, and now they have the chord structure, maybe they know mostly the organization, intro, verses, choruses, maybe a bridge. And so when it gets to that point to where it's more a song, then it'll come to the band. And then at that point, it's a very collaborative process where we're not, in that early stage, we're not trying to write out everybody's part. But when it gets to a certain point where we have all the elements of a song, it comes to the band, and then individual musicians start working out their individual parts. We'll also know, besides the chord sequence, like what's the style, what's the tempo of this song, right? That will be communicated. And then after that, it's like, as a horn section, we'll work out our horn parts, right? The bass player will work out his bass line, keyboards, etc., etc.
And when you go on to rehearse a lot of the songs together, did you ever like change like the sounds or like the instrumentals, or what's that experience like just
Well,
working on the songs?
a lot of our songs have opens for solos, so I think the main thing you'll find at a live show is we'll open it up more than you can on a recording. The solos become longer, maybe more people solo than the single artist that might be soloing on the recorded track. So those things, we might extend choruses. You'll find that like we'll keep the groove going for longer on a live set.
And speaking of your live performances, what's that experience like in getting to perform and interact with the audiences?
I would say we're really in our element in the live. We're really much known as a great live band, and I think that's just, we perform with exuberance, I would say, happiness, joy, like we love playing music, and we like bringing the audience into that, and I think that shows. It's a high energy, like our lead singers are moving around and dancing the whole time. We all try to get into that a bit. We try to get people out of their seats and moving and having fun and getting into the experience. So, and I will say this, we're a large band, 10 pieces, full horn section. That's a big sound. And fans, generally speaking, really like that. They don't hear that every night, right? Not anything against a 4-piece ensemble, but you know, we're a much bigger sound, a much more dynamic sound than that, I think, and fans really like that.
And now being here at South by Southwest, what has this experience been like so far, and playing here as well?
Well, we had a good showcase Thursday night at the Saxon Pub. People were dancing, having a good time. You probably see some videos online about that, so that was good. But another part of this experience is to connect with other creatives, other collaborators perhaps, and so one of the things as the band manager I've been working on a lot is getting the band into sync licensing where we can get the music placed into film and TV, maybe even some trailers or commercials. And so I'm trying to meet music supervisors. In fact, I went to a session yesterday and met a local music supervisor, and very much trying to get us in that way. Would love to meet like booking agents and talent buyers if I could meet those, and I'll keep networking until it's over and see if I can make those connections. But for me, it's not just the performance, it's the network opportunities that are available.
Speaking of managing the group, what has that experience been like? And like you mentioned, working to get more exposure here at the festival, and just in general. Yeah.
Being a band is a 24/7 activity. Like, you have to think about promoting the band every single day. And we're trying to become more efficient about that. It's not just the number of social posts you can put up, or, you know, but can you bring the fans along on this journey with you, that you can build a community of fans that really enjoy the music. And that's what I've been really focusing on. Booking is nonstop. You're always trying to, you're looking at the calendar 2-3 months out, trying to book the open dates you have. You're making inquiries to music festivals. You're answering inquiries like the public doesn't see, but you know, we've got several weddings coming up, corporate events. So we're also, you know, we have these special events that we're trying to plan for, and when we do special events, that's a little more logistics, because I have to rent the sound equipment, hire a sound engineer, and all those kinds of things. So it's, if I'm answering your question, it's an everyday activity for a manager and trying to keep the band going.
Overall, being in Austin, besides here at the festival, what has that experience been like as well, with so much music here and live music? Do you really enjoy this experience, playing here in general?
Austin is a great incubation hub. You know, it's, if I can make the analogy, like when you see a car dealership, it's usually not just a single car dealership, right? Usually there's several in the general vicinity. And that's just marketing, foot traffic, right? Getting people. It's a little bit the same with creatives, right? There's a certain energy to be generated from a community of creative people versus someone out in the wilderness trying to do it alone, if you know what I mean. Like, and so Austin's been a great hub. Plus you get a great exchange of ideas when there are more, a larger community of musicians that you can tap into.
And with your latest songs and releases, how would you like to describe the sound and really like changing, like going back to like just
Well,
playing different genres?
I would say our sound is always evolving, but we're kind of branding what we call our music as Texas R&B. And if I could describe it, it's a little edgier. I wouldn't say it's country, but I mean, we're from Texas, we're from the South, so it has some of that same energy. It certainly wouldn't be the same R&B you would find in New York or Chicago. I mean, those are great. I mean, Texas R&B, I think, relies on our Southern roots, coming out of the gospel experience. So there's definitely that soul aspect to the sound we call Texas R&B. And I think sometimes it's just a little heavier than other R&B. Is that?
Yes. And what's coming up next for the group? Are you working on new music or a new album?
We're working on new music. We don't have anything to announce right now, but we're writing as we speak. We will be releasing a music video, probably be in April at this point. We had to delay filming a little bit of our track, Pass Me By. That's getting some play right now on our streaming services. And so that'll add, we'll have a music video of that coming out, and hopefully by the end of the year we'll have a new, at least a single or two, or an EP or album to discuss by then.
And being here in Austin and at the festival and just performing here in general, do you really enjoy also like working with other local talent and like maybe duetting or like collaborating with other artists as well?
Yeah, we love collaborating with local artists, and we try to bill with other artists on the show, like Tomar and the FCs is a local artist we play with a band called Big Wise Brass Band, play with a group called The Capitol, and other artists like that. So yeah, we try to collaborate. There's one thing I would love to do, which we haven't done yet, is to collaborate with a songwriter from one of these other bands or groups, and make it a Honey-Made song, but get a little bit different creative input, working with somebody outside the band.
And are there any musicians that have inspired you personally or the group, or that you would like to maybe duet with as well?
I mean, we would love to play with some of the bands we inspire with, and locally. It'd be great to open with someone like the Black Pumas. That would be fun. Some other artists that I think our sound is similar to, like if there would be an opportunity to open or close for Dura Jones and the Indications, or St. Paul and the Broken Bones, that'd be fantastic. Bands like that. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you so much again.
Well, thank
really
you for coming
appreciate it.
and getting us, and I look forward to, we'll be sure